CarryonPilkington, the show where we talk about travel and stuff, and today we're going to be talking about something that I love desperately, books. And that sounded way more nerdy than I wanted it to. One of the things I always do on travel is I always go and buy a book. Now, it's always hard to choose what kind of book do you want. Do you want a longer one? Do you want a shorter one? Do you want one that's simpler? Do you want one that has real in-depth? And I'm going to talk about it because I've taken probably every kind of book on travel, and I want to stop you from making some of the mistakes that I have. So I picked out 5 books, and I'm going to kind of talk about them because these are ones I've taken on trips. So the first one, we're just going to put a big no on this unless you have a ebook copy, which I always suggest. My last trip I took a Kobo, which kind of negates this whole video, except for the fact that choosing a book can be hard too. The first one we're going to talk about is Under the Dome, Stephen King. Stephen King is one of my favorite authors, and this one is a book that I pulled out because I'd never read it before, and the show came on Global, actually, in Canada. I think it was Global, and I had never actually read Under the Dome, so I was like, I should probably venture into that. And I actually really enjoyed it, even though it was very different than the TV show. But I took this when I went to, where did I go? Oh, I took this to Vancouver. So it wasn't a super long trip. So if you're going on a super long trip and you're taking a suitcase, I would say this is okay, because you're not having to carry this through airports and like in your travel backpack. I was just going to a hotel, so this works. But if you're going on like a backpacking trip, no. Look at this thing. It's like, it actually is so heavy. I'm like having trouble holding it up here, which just shows how super muscly I am. But this book, amazing. Great if you can get an e-copy, because like it's very it kind of draws you in. So when you're on those trips that you're trying to like pass the time and not think about the fact you have to be on a flight for 10 hours or a train for 5 hours, this is a good book to suck you in. I always suggest Stephen King. But one thing to always consider when choosing a book for travel is the size. If you pick it up and you can't hold it like this for like a minute without having to be like, oh my god, don't bring it, because you're gonna have to have that strapped to your back. And it also restricts like things you can bring home. I'm always a person who, I don't like to bring home a lot of souvenirs, but if you like to bring home anything, this will take up so much space. I've actually left some books places because I'm just like, I can't carry this anymore. Like, it has to go, which is sad because I like rereading books. The second one I'm going to talk about, we're going to take a big jump to something very thin. It's V for Vendetta. I'm a huge fan of graphic novels. When I worked at Chapters, which is a Canadian book company, it's huge, I spent a lot of my time and my money in the graphic novel section, and this is one of my favorites just because the art style is so cool, and Alan Moore is just a genius when it comes to graphic novels in a way that can't be translated into movies. So if you've watched the movie for Vendetta, you've never read the comic, or I guess not the comic, if you've never read the graphic novel, I would highly, highly suggest that you do this. This right here is another good book that would be good for size and weight. Another thing that you might have to consider though is how big this thing is. Look at this. Like, it's gonna be hard to put in, even though when I took it to, this is the one I took to Ireland, because I took it with me to London, but when I went to Ireland, this is when I reread it. I read it at home, I read it for school, I've read this like 100 times, but it can kind of like stuff into your bag, and that's another, I always suggest you get soft covers, because hard covers can be hard to pack. The only issue is that this one has a couple dented pages, but it's okay for the most part. This is one I'd highly suggest for trips, like shorter graphic novels that have lots of content, because you could sit down and read this on a 10-hour flight all the way through and be like, yeah, that was a really good use of my time, and the pictures don't make it super boring. I don't know, I'm a picture gal. I always like that pop-up book aspect. Okay, pop-up book aspect. Oh my god, ass book. I gotta put that on a counter somewhere. But it's like not a book that you're going to have to read after your trip. Like, you'll finish this on the trip, but it'll also not be a book that like goes by so fast. Like if you get the little Walking Dead like books that are like this short that took me like 45 minutes to read if I was like taking my time. Sometimes it would take me like 15 minutes if I was just like, brrr. So graphic novels are great for traveling, just in general. This is one I wanted to bring out not because I suggest you get this book, but it's another kind of thicker one, but this one's okay because it's actually quite light. It has 2 books in one, and it's tiny. It's very tiny, especially when you look in comparison to like, yeah, it's very tiny. This is one I actually bought when I was in London, and the first time when I was with my parents, and it's Angus Thongs and Full Perfect Snogging, and it's based off a book for teens, and there's a movie made out of this, and this book is so ridiculous, and I never finished it. I found this and I was like, did I ever actually read this all the way through? And I was looking at the end and I'm like, no. But it's one of those things where like it originally had this like scale of like, oh, if you do this, it's like, this is first base and this is second base, and I always like was like, oh, this book is so scandalous. Looking back, this is literally like a girl who just wants to kiss someone. And it's I don't know, if you want to laugh and you're younger, this is a good book. But this is a good one for traveling because it's lightweight, so that's the difference. Like, it's a big book, but it's like, you're not going to be worried about this. And also because it's 2 books in one, and if you leave this somewhere, if I left this somewhere, I would not be heartbroken, but you might be. I don't know if you love this book. This is a no-no. This is well, besides the fact that it's J.K. Rowling, which is amazing, I got Casual Vacancy when I went to Germany, and it was in my bag. And it is so heavy, it doesn't bend. To be honest with you, I left my copy in Germany, and this is a new copy that I was given. I never finished the book. I ended up getting it on an e-reader to finish it because I was just like, why did I bring this book with me? Like, it's so heavy and so, I don't know, with this book specifically, like I found with Harry Potter, I always just like went through it. This one was a lot harder of a read for me. Like, it wasn't as drawing as some of J.K. Rowling's other books. So when you're looking for a book, don't just judge it by the author and the idea that you might like it. I had the same thing when I got Go Set a Watchman, even though Go Set a Watchman, I read the whole thing because I don't know, it just like really intrigued me, the idea of like Scout being older, and I was like, what's gonna happen? So when you're looking for books, this one had good reviews, but I always do a novel test where I open one page and I read down it, and if I can't make it through the page without like feeling bored, I don't take the book, and I should have done it with this one because unfortunately I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I was going to. I believe I took this one when I went to New York. It's actually just a poetry book. I don't know if you know about Bo Burnham, but he's a comedian and he has this amazing book called Egghead. This one's another one because even though it's hardcover, again, it's very thin, very light, and very tiny in comparison to some of our other books. Like even with Casual Vacancy, like it has like less mass, so it's easier. This one, the only issue I would say with it is that it's a very quick read. It only took me maybe half an hour to get through it. So if you're going on like a quick flight, like I was going to New York, which was like 5 hours, I wanted to watch a movie, this is perfect because I wasn't going to spend my time in New York reading. Like I wanted to walk the streets and just experience it. So this one was really perfect for that vacation. If you're going to Europe on a 10-hour flight, this is not a good book because you'll finish it in the first hour and then you'll be like, oh man, it's time to watch like every movie on the television. And Egghead, it's called Egghead or How You Can't Survive on Ideas Alone because Bo Burnham is a comedian. It's not just like a regular poetry book. It has like comedy to it, which is really funny and really intriguing. And I really like taking this. I've read this like 100 times. I sometimes still take it on vacation just because it's so easy to carry around. And it's good to just have a little laugh every once in a while. So do you have a favorite book to take on vacation? Is there anything I missed about picking a book? My one guarantee after working at a bookstore is go to the bestseller section. If you live in Canada, Chapters always has bestsellers for 40% off. That's where I get a lot of my books. Go to the bestseller section, ask a friend, and do the test. If you read through a page and halfway through you're like, oh man, what is this? You're probably not going to want to read the whole thing. So hope you enjoyed your stay. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Goodbye.
While it is true that nighttime devours the day, it is doubly true that every morning the sun returns to frighten away the cowardly dark.